First story. My husband gave me a warning tap and I called it abuse. AITAH, as I am writing this, I am laying in bed with my mom. She's helping me gather my thoughts for some other opinions. I am F24 and my husband is M30. We've been together for 3 years and married for 1. This is a throwaway account just in case. About a week ago, my husband and I got into an argument over his phone, which he had misplaced. I was in the shower when he lost it, and when I came out, he was throwing a fucking fit over it. He was like, "Where did you put it? Have you seen it?" Angrily yelling and snapping. I said I hadn't touched it and I needed to get dressed. My husband was standing in the doorway looking behind the door, so I couldn't open it. I said, "Hello, move please?" Apparently my tone was rude because my husband turned around and shoved me into the room. I was like, "Okay, you need to calm down. I can help you look, but I gotta get dressed." He tells me to hurry up. I snap back, "I'm not gonna hurry up. It isn't my fucking fault." My husband turned around and hit me on my mouth with the back of his hand. It didn't even really hurt, but I was appalled. He called it a warning tap because of my attitude. I left right then and there. I called my mom and came over. I haven't left. My brother took me over the next day to get a few things. My husband asked me if all this really necessary, and I said, "Yeah, it is when you abuse your wife." He was so stricken that I called it abuse. He screamed at me for it. He said I can ruin his career if I use that word. I know that I can, and I know that he didn't even hurt me, but that's how I feel. He sent me several texts threatening to divorce me if I use that word again, or try to hurt his career by saying it's someone important. AITAH for saying this, potentially citing this, and potentially ruining his career? Second story. AITAH for suing my neighbor after their kid trespassed and fell into my koi pond? I, 22M, have a koi pond in my backyard. It's not just any koi pond. It's a full-blown, professionally designed Japanese garden with a bridge, waterfalls, and koi that cost more than my car. I'm talking $1,000 for a single fish. Maintaining this pond is my pride and joy. I've put years into this hobby, and my yard is securely fenced with no trespassing signs everywhere. Enter my neighbor, Karen. Fake name, but fitting. Karen has a son, let's call him Timmy, 8M, who is notorious for wandering into other people's yards uninvited. I've talked to Karen multiple times about this, but she just brushes it off with, "Kids will be kids." Last week, while I was out running errands, I got a frantic call from Karen. Apparently, Timmy climbed over my fence to feed the fish, even though I have explicitly told him to stay out. In doing so, he slipped, fell into the pond, and destroyed part of my carefully maintained ecosystem. Several of my prized koi died due to stress, and the filtration system was damaged because of the debris Timmy kicked in. Luckily, Timmy wasn't seriously hurt, just a few scrapes, but Karen has been demanding I pay for his medical bills. She claims my pond is an attractive nuisance, and that I should have had a cover or something to prevent kids from falling in. I argued that 1, it's a private, fenced property, and 2, her son had no business being there in the first place. When I refused to pay, Karen lost it and started bad-mouthing me to the whole neighborhood, calling me heartless and a terrible person. I've since filed a lawsuit against her for the cost of the koi, the damage to my filtration system, and repairs to my pond, over $5,000 in total. Some of my friends think I'm taking it too far, saying he's just a kid, but others agree that Karen should have been watching him better. So, Reddit, AITAH for suing my neighbor after her kid trespassed and destroyed my koi pond? Third story. AITAH for letting you know I am divorcing you by sending you a thread on the website that you used to ignore me? Tiny update. Stefan has seen this post. He is mad that apparently one of you found him based on the rate my boobs thing. He has deleted his account. For any purposes, I want to clarify that I left out any actual incriminating information that could lead to doxing him. Any and all people who are pretending to know me or have any incriminating information about me are lying. I am not from South Carolina, I am not moving in with any other guy, and I am also not sleeping around. X. Hi Stefan, maybe you will finally listen. And if you're wondering if you can just speed home and stop me from doing this and leaving, it's too late. I'm sending you this after I've already loaded everything in the car and left. Don't worry. I spoke with our landlords and took my name off the lease. I've set up a direct deposit for the next month's rent. After that, you're on your own, buddy. I guess you're wondering why. I'm guessing you'll act like you're completely blindsided, right? Because you've done absolutely nothing wrong, and you're a great husband and father-to-be, aren't you? Well, buddy, let me break it down for you in a language you understand. I, 29F, have been married to my husband, 35M, for 5 years, and we've been together for nearly 10. On paper, everything seemed fine, but in reality, our marriage has been anything but. I've reached my breaking point, and I need to know if I'm the one in the wrong here. From the beginning, my ML has been a nightmare. She made everything about her from day one. At our wedding, she wore white, claiming it was a family tradition. It wasn't. She constantly criticizes me, from my cooking to my appearance. I'll never forget the time she called me fat at a family gathering, right in front of everyone. And what did my husband do? Nothing. Not a single word to defend me. It didn't stop there. She has accidentally destroyed my belongings, including my grandmother's necklace, which she threw out because it looked like cheap costume jewelry. She's gone out of her way to make me feel small and unwelcome in my own home. But every time I tried to talk to my husband about it, he'd brush it off, saying I was overreacting or being too emotional. And then there's my husband. He's always on Reddit, constantly giving strangers relationship advice, which is laughable considering how he treats me. He spends more time rating women's boobs on Reddit than talking to me. Literally. And just so you know, the last pair he rated weren't a 4 out of 10, they were a 10 out of 10. Yeah, he's got plenty of time to do that, but can't be bothered to remember anything about my life. He'll forget my birthday, our anniversary, even simple things like what I'm working on or what's important to me. But he has a perfect memory for his work schedule and things that matter to him. When we fight, he becomes incredibly hostile and always throws in a sarcastic buddy at the end of his sentences, like I'm some acquaintance he can barely tolerate. And he never cleans. The house, the dishes, laundry, you name it, it's all on me. It's like he thinks being an adult is optional, as long as he's got his job and his Reddit account. The final straw came a few weeks ago. I'm 5 months pregnant with our first child, a daughter. My Amiel started making comments about how she'll have to whip the girl into shape and how she'll raise her to be tough because I'm too soft. When I told my husband that I didn't want his mother to have too much influence on our daughter, especially with the way she treats me, he just laughed it off, saying his mother means well and that I was overthinking it. But the moment that truly broke me was when we were talking about future childcare, and my husband suggested that his mother should watch our daughter while we work. I told him I wasn't comfortable with that, especially considering how his mother treats me, and he snapped. He called me paranoid and said I should get over it because his mother was going to be a big part of our daughter's life, whether I liked it or not. This is the same woman who believes corporal punishment is okay. I've seen her hit my husband's nephew for the smallest things, and no one does anything about it. It's like they're all living in some kind of cult, and I'm finally waking up to the reality of what's going on. If he wouldn't stand up for me, how could I expect him to stand up for our child? I started to fear for what kind of environment our daughter would grow up in. A place where she might be belittled or bullied by her own grandmother, with a father who wouldn't do anything to stop it. Oh, and did I mention that he missed our first ultrasound? His mother needed him to help her with something urgent. Turned out to be fixing her Wi-Fi. He chose that over seeing our daughter for the first time. That told me everything I needed to know about where I stand in his life. So I packed up and left. I'm done living like this. Oh, and in case you're wondering, I've already contacted a lawyer. You can't scare me into complying anymore because I have all those texts. You know exactly which ones I'm talking about. So, Stefan, I wish you all the best in your future marriage, with your mother and the women of Reddit whose boobs you don't even deserve. Am I the asshole for leaving my husband after he neglected me for years, let his mother mistreat me, and made me fear for our future daughter's safety? Fourth story. AITAH for laughing in my SAL's face when she DNA tested my daughter? I, 30M, have a daughter who's 6. I am not biologically related to her at all. There is no blood relation between us. I was friends with her mother for most all of my childhood. We were never involved romantically and were always just friends. She had her daughter at 23 with her 25-year-old husband. When my daughter was a newborn, about 3 months technically, both her mother and father were killed. I won't go into too much detail for privacy reasons, but it was workplace shooting. My friend and her husband had worked in the same building and were both killed. Both my friend and her husband had grown up with less than ideal families and didn't have any siblings, so there wasn't any next of kin for their daughter to go to. However, because I was close with them, I was able to adopt her. Even though I had been iffy about the idea of kids, I didn't want their daughter to grow up in foster care or around people who didn't have a connection to her bio parents, so I stepped in. My parents and siblings know that my daughter is not my actual daughter biologically speaking. My daughter, I'll call Lily for the post, also knows that she's adopted. I never really hid the fact that she was adopted. She knows her parents are dead and were killed by a bad man, but I'm saving the details for when she's older. Lily does not look like me at all. She looks exactly like her mother and biological dad. Most people assume that I'm her bio dad and that she just took after her mom. I don't ever really correct this when and if people assume this because it just seems unnecessary. My brother has been with his fiancée for about 2 years now. A few weeks ago, we were all meeting up at my parents' house and my SIL saw an old picture of me, my friend and her husband. She pointed to my friend and asked who she was, and I explained that was Lily's mother. Sal got quiet and stood in front of the picture for a while. I didn't think much of it. To clarify, she knows my friend died, but I guess didn't know that she had been married or that Lily is not my bio daughter. I suppose she assumed my daughter was mine and my friend's biological daughter. My SIL got a DNA test done on my daughter behind my back. She used my brother's DNA for the test, and when it came back that they weren't related, she knew that meant me and Lily weren't related. She came up to me with the results and waved them in my face, saying that I was taking care of a dead woman's affair baby. She said this to me in front of my daughter. I just stared at her for a while before bursting out laughing at this. I told her I knew Lily wasn't my biological daughter, and that this thing called adoption exists. Her face went red and she stormed off. My brother is mad I embarrassed his fiancée, but I said she embarrassed herself by DNA testing a kid that isn't hers and then parading the results up to me. What did she want me to do? What was her goal with this? Did she want me to break down and abandon my daughter? My brother said she thought she was doing the right thing and called me an asshole. I don't feel like the asshole, especially considering my SIL was the one who stuck her nose where it doesn't belong. I'm asking for Reddit opinions, mostly just for validation. So was I the asshole? Fifth story. AITAH for breaking a man's nose because he apparently didn't know what stop means? Advice needed. I, 21F, went to my local grocery store the other day to get 1 to 2 items and then go home. As I'm grabbing said items, they were on different aisles. I see a man, 45 to 55, following me quite closely. You may say, oh, maybe it's just a weird coincidence? He wanted something on that aisle. No, he didn't pick up or look at anything, didn't even have a cart. A little more context. I was wearing a dress. Not ridiculously short, but it was short because it's 90 degrees outside. Anyways, I got uncomfortable and just went and checked out. Didn't see the man until I was almost to my car. He walks up and tries to start making awkward small talk. How old I am, the fact that my license plate is a different state than the one I was in, where I was coming from, if I have a boyfriend. I told him I wasn't interested and asked him to please leave me alone. He didn't and got closer to me. I have a very big ICK about people boxing me into small spaces. Trauma? And so I said, quite loudly, please back away from me. I don't like this. He laughed and basically said, oh, she's upset. What a sweetheart, and is now 3 inches away from me. So I panicked and slammed the palm of my hand into his nose, which broke it. He began screaming at me, but I was having a panic attack and just got into my car and left. I told some friends about it, and some say I'm at AH because I could have just ducked away, and some say that that's a completely normal response for someone who has trauma. Sixth story. AITAH. I am calling off my engagement after my partner revealed he is MAGA. My fiancé and I have been together since 2013 when we met in college. He struggled to get a well-paying job, and during his long bouts of unemployment must have been radicalized to blame everyone else. I chalked it up to depression and tried to get him help with therapy. I paid for him to return to school to become a nurse too, but he still has not completed the prereqs after 7 years. He currently works gig jobs while I am a nurse in California making close to $400K a year, working a full-time and a part-time job. I was hoping to save up enough to not have to work after having a baby since I cannot rely on him. We were planned to get married next year and wanted to try for a baby. He knows I am very liberal and all about women's rights. He never openly expressed support for MAGA itself until after Trump won and said Trump will help the economy and finally allow him to get a good job. I told him that it was the easiest time to get a job in the past 20 years in 2021, yet he couldn't. I am not giving in to sunken costs and staying, and he didn't know. But he did make offhand comments before on women losing their worth the older they get, and I questioned him and he said it was a joke. The past week has been miserable listening to him talk non-stop on how great Trump is and how he will turn everything great again. I had it and gave him notice to leave by the end of the month, and we are through. He said it's unfair and told me it's stupid to give up on us over just politics. The very fact he said that solidified the notion that he is so clueless and our values are too different. He will likely have to move back into his parents' home or be homeless since he makes less than $35K a year in the most expensive region in the USA. Am I the asshole for throwing away my relationship of 11 years over politics? I wish politics was boring again. Edit. Last night he threatened suicide when the gravity of the situation hit him. His mother is babysitting him at her house to avoid a 5150 while I work. His father is packing up his belongings and will move them out of my house by the end of the week. It is over. I am letting him be MAGA. I cannot support someone who supports a rapist, pedophile, felon, etc. and who wants to take away my rights. He knows I am a sexual assault victim. Majority of our friends are cutting ties with him after they learned of the reason of the breakup. Luckily, his parents are extremely left even by my standards, so may get a better balance on news instead of just the conservative forums he frequents. People grow apart and we grew apart. One can break up for any reason or no reason at all. I simply asked if I was the asshole to do it, not if it was right or wrong. Men are justified for breaking up with women if she gets fat, but if the woman breaks up over morale differences, it's wrong. Edit. For all you insecure men who can't fathom a nurse can make $400K plus, here. 7th story. AITAH for suing my cousin for $6K to pay for my hearing aids after he threw me in the pool. My family is all on my cousin's side for this issue, and I wanted some outside judgment. My cousin, 25M, has always been the golden child of our generation. He's funny, good-looking, and outgoing, not to mention a boy amongst girls. He's always loved to mess around and play pranks. For the record, I really dislike this cousin. I think he's irresponsible, childish, and annoying. I have had hearing problems for years. I recently got a $6,000 pair of hearing aids. Recently at my grandmother's birthday party, we were all eating and drinking on the back porch. My grandmother has a pool. My cousin decided he was going to throw me in the pool because it would be funny to ruin my hair that I just got done that day. I repeatedly told him to stop and put me down, in a very serious and not playful at all tone. He threw me in the pool and my hearing aids were ruined. Afterwards, when I told him what happened, he basically said, "Whoops, didn't know you had hearing aids now." When I told him the cost of them and that he would have to replace them, he freaked out and said no way. My family didn't want me to make him pay for them because I significantly out-earn him and also everyone else in the family. He was in college at the time, barely making ends meet in a call center job. His girlfriend and him have a baby and they live in a one-bedroom apartment. He refused to pay, so I took him to court. I won. He refused to make the payments after, so I took him back to court and his wages are now being garnished for the maximum amount, which is 20% of his total wages. Pushed him over the edge of what he could afford, so he's had to work extra and drop out of college to be able to pay their rent. My family is absolutely fuming at me. I think he made one bad choice after the other, and he has never given a sincere apology during this whole ordeal. Had he gave a real apology after the incident and asked if he could wait till he finished school to pay me back, I would have been fine with it. But the entitled little prick is digging his feet in at every move. AITAH? The only reason I could see me maybe being the asshole is because it's affecting his child and girlfriend. 8th story. AITAH for forcing my sin to give me half of his income. I won the lottery. $1,000 a day for life. I'm 58. My son is 19. I went to him and told him that I wanted to make a deal. I would give him the ticket. In return, he would give me half of the money until I die. Then he gets all the money. He said he needed to think about it. He came back and said it wasn't really fair for me to want half. He said that I could live another 40 years, that he might need the money more and that I should take 20%. I said I would think about it. I signed the ticket and claimed the lump sum. I'm seeing a lawyer to set my son up for life. His education will be paid for. When he gets older, he will be able to purchase a home for free basically. A trust fund will be set up so he gets a good amount of money for the rest of his life. Now he is pissed that I went back on my offer. I thought I was being smart, but I didn't realize how greedy he was. He also told my ex about the money and she is pissed that I'm not giving her anything. We have been divorced for years. I owe her nothing. No, I won't give you anything if you ask. There is a reason I'm using a throwaway. 9th story. This girl, 18F, got pregnant and she and her parents want me, 19M, to step up and help her raise her baby. I am not the dad, but I want to go into the core. I told her no. I feel bad though. Advice needed. Basically, this girl I always had a crush on got knocked up by some random loser, and now while she is pregnant she has been wanting to date me. Her parents want me to step up and be a man, so they don't have to help her take care of the baby for like the next 18 years and have her stay with them. She is not a piece of cake BTW. But the thing is I am not the dad. She said she wants me to be her boyfriend and for me to get a job and a place for her and me to live to help raise our kid. My dad told me to tell her to go F herself and not to put my dreams to the side and that I am so young and just a kid myself and to never ever in my entire life get involved with her. He said her baby is not my responsibility and he will be heartbroken if I voluntarily take on this burden. He fully supports me going into the core. I told her I do not want to get involved with her. Her dad told me I am not a real man. Update: I have been able to successfully block this girl and her parents on all social media platforms and their phone numbers and home phone, as well for my cell phone. I have also gotten a temporary restraining order. There is a legal process you have to go through for a real permanent one, but I am working on it, against her and her parents. None of them are allowed to contact me by any means, including phone, email, mail, in person, or by someone else. If they do, the sheriff will have his deputies go to their house and bring them to the local jail. 10th story. AITAH for letting my kids loot my brother's house to prove my point. My brother and his family came for a visit last month. My kids and I play with Lego and we have fun leaving little dioramas around my house. Just silly stuff like a fight between Iron Man and Darth Vader on the loot llama. It's just our way of leaving Easter eggs around the house. My nephew really liked them and decided to take a few home. When we noticed they were missing, I asked my brother to bring them back. He said that it was just kids being kids and that he would them back the next time we saw each other. I saw him for coffee and I reminded him beforehand that I wanted all our stuff back. He forgot to bring the toys. Okay, game on. We went over to his place for a barbecue. I told my kids that unless all our stuff was returned to us when we got there, literally anything in the house was fair game. Like the godless barbarians they are, they went to town. When we left, I don't think there were any remotes, small electronics, or beer mugs left at his house. I actually had to sneak the dog back into the house before we left. I started getting calls on our way home. I ignored them. When I got home, I returned his calls. He said a bunch of stuff was missing from his house. I said I would check with the kids. He said that I fucking well knew what happened and that he wanted his shit back. I said I would box it up and return it the next time we saw each other, as long as we got our Lego back. He was at my house with my Lego later that evening. He had even accidentally included stuff that wasn't ours. I returned it and his stuff. I told him that this is how we would be dealing with his kid in the future. He is pissed off that he had to make a special trip to return my stuff. My parents think that there is a huge difference between an 8-year-old taking Lego minifigures and a couple of teenagers pillaging their uncle's house.